But nobody talk about when we went and viewed the body. Man, Pimp C head was this big. And his lips would look like plastic. His whole face.
Like, was it the lock? Like, tell me something. You know what I mean? And the most I could get was, I never got if the door was locked and I just had to break it down. Because if the door wasn't locked, that means somebody left out. If the door was locked, that means he felt good, he locked it, he was in there.
Honestly, I didn't see that side. He never did lean around me.
Pimp had a naked, he had a recording of them. I think he died with it, but he could have made millions of dollars.
But they thought he had been shot in the head. You know, they didn't know what the hell happened because there was blood all over the bed. But he was kneeled down like he had been praying. And the candles had been burnt all the way down. So they knew he had probably been dead for like a day or something because he always lit these candles to help him sleep.
Jay-Z knows how to stay in the headlines and which buttons to press to get the attention of the audience as well as the media. He's been the talk of the town for as long as he came into the limelight, and the media loves him for all the juicy aspects of his life. Z is known to have done a lot of crazy stuff over the past, like having beef with Offset, being in a possible homosexual relationship with P. Diddy, and even having complicated marital life with the Queen Bee, Beyonce. But this one surely takes the cake. According to our sources, Jay-Z planned a hit on Pimp C. What? You didn't think he was capable of going that low? Well, neither did we. Pimp C was the American rapper and music producer whose mysterious and sudden death caused a lot of commotion in the media. He was found dead in a hotel room back in December 2007, leaving lots of questions behind regarding the real cause of his death. His demise instigated a lot of conspiracy theories too, but the medical reports labeled the death as a case of drug overdose. A coroner's report attributed his death to complications stemming from heavy consumption of purple drink and his pre-existing condition of sleep apnea. It was later brought out that his blood tests revealed toxic doses of codeine in his system. Too Short, a fellow rapper and a very close friend of Pimp C, who appeared to be the last person to be in contact with Pimp at the time of his death, had quite some interesting things to say about his death.
I'm like, what happened to my guy?
Right.
And then they come out with the official. It was a mixture of some stuff, the prescription and something else or something that I don't really know.
Now, for those not knowing, codeine is an opioid. Opioids are analgesics that depress the central nervous system, decrease the respiratory rate, and cause cessation of breathing when taken in toxic doses. In layman's terms, Pimp C, according to the medical reports, was a drug addict and overdosed on pain meds, which resulted in him passing out and eventually dying. The stuff recovered from the murder site included pill bottles, powder, and alcohol, which served to lay the basis for what the reports later proved. But there is a fair chance all of those elements were planted and Pimp C was set up to look like the death was an accident. After all, none of his fellow colleagues or coworkers have admitted to him having a drinking problem or addiction. Neither has ever displayed misconduct or intoxicated behavioral patterns in media. His acquaintance, Orlando Brown, shed light on this matter, saying,
Honestly, I didn't see that side. He never did lean around me. Listen, Chad only did, red wine, a cup of red wine like twice.
Really?
Yeah, so that whole situation with him, with them planting, and like all that stuff was planted, bro. Like that's not even his.
All these statements clearly point out that the evidence was fake and was falsely planted or maybe tampered with to divert the attention of the authorities from the attempted murder. Most people agree that the whole ordeal of Pimp's accidental death went too smoothly to be considered real. Like David Banner, a fellow rapper who apparently knew Pimp C inside out, claimed that the latter had some issues going on that all the industry was aware of, but refused to address openly. In his words, the one truth about the music industry is that Pimp C had some stuff that everybody knew, but nobody was talking about. The stuff that he was referring to will be disclosed further on in this video. Pimp's death was perceived by the audience in the same way, a murder. A person said, Pimp had a lot of hidden enemies and they wanted him gone. I miss Pimp, SMH. Talking about enemies, we have the top of the list that we already mentioned, Jay-Z. Now, what possible beef could lead to one of two being murdered?
I ain't gonna say who it is, but it's a real famous rapper and it's a real famous R&B chick.
Okay.
Yeah. Pimp had a naked, he had a recording of them.
Pimpin' Ken, another gem from the music industry, is seen talking in riddles in the video. He revealed startling details about Pimp C's beef with Jay-Z, that Pimp had a passionate affair with Beyonce while she was still married to Jay-Z. Not just that, the animosity between the men springs from the fact that Pimp had a private video of him and Beyonce. To be clear, it's a sex tape that we're talking about. Ken further added that the video could have gotten Pimp a lot of money had he been selfish enough to release it. A tape that could be possibly bringing the careers of the top rappers and music artists in America right now to their knees? Even though not so much for Jay-Z, it sounds like a lot of drama, which we love. Additionally, Jay-Z and Pimp C also had a pre-existing feud regarding some disparities in professional facets. In 1999, both the men planned a musical composition together that Pimp wasn't too keen on. The reason for this difference of opinion was brought to light by Too Short. He said that Tupac was the reason they almost couldn't come to a mutual agreement. Turns out, Pimp C's only logic for not wanting to be on that song was all about Tupac. That was his exact statement.
I don't know, but he said, I'm not f***ing with nobody that did with Tupac.
He further added that he pressured Pimp C into agreeing by saying, just do it, man. Do it, do it, do it. People came out in appreciation of Pimp's stance as soon as Too Short's interview hit the fan. One of them said, hearing all the stories about Pimp C's stubbornness and hesitation towards Big Pimpin' makes me love him even more for some reason. There will never be another. So that meant issues had been going on for a while now and finally came to rest at Pimp's death. But that is just one possibility. The other possibility is even worse. Pimp C was found in a queer state at the site of death. His friends that went to his hotel room told his wife there was blood all over the room and he was in some kind of kneeling position or praying position. Wasn't a lean overdose. He was murdered, said someone. Another statement came. In an interview, DJ Paul said they found Pimp in a praying position. Candles around the bed and blood. Fast forward, Mac Miller found dead in a praying position as well. They both got ruled overdose after a night with a lady escort or booty call. The people who went to his funeral were shocked beyond belief at the condition of his body. Firstly, not many people were allowed to see his dead body, even though he was an A-class rapper. Then, his state after death looked like something straight out of a horror movie scene. Too Short reported the scene of the funeral saying that the casket was too heavy and
Pimp C head was this big.
Stop it, man.
Are you serious? Man, it was this big, dog. I mean, you know.
He was darker too.
Hey, his lips would look like plastic. His whole face. So Too Short looking at me, we looking at each other like, you know, and everybody just looking at each other like crap. We couldn't even believe the we were seeing.
The casket was so heavy.
This indicates that there might be a bigger picture than's let on. Rumors are that he was about to or in the process of exposing some cult that got him killed. It was said that he stirred up a lot of controversy with his Ozone interview, calling out homosexual executives, fake rappers, and even dissed the whole state of Atlanta. He didn't always seem to have contradictory reviews about these issues. Things changed after he got out of prison for an assault charge on a female. His murder also had been labeled as a sacrificial practice of some sort. Too Short, while reminiscing the time his body was recovered, said,
If the door was locked, then I just had to break it down. Because if the door wasn't locked, that means somebody left out.
Right.
If the door was locked, that means he felt good, he locked it, he was in there.
The revelation that the door was locked from the inside brings in a whole new wave of questions. It could possibly mean that whatever circumstances led to his death weren't forced upon him. The door had the lock intact with no signs of it being broken down. Either he was a willing participant or he was too out of it to make sense, or the possible murderer left through the window. The third possibility, if we focus hard, indicates that the probable murder had too smartly planned and executed. That much precision could only come from a fuming competitor who is intolerant toward your success or place in the industry. Jay-Z and Pimp C's rock relationship was once discussed by Jeff Sledge, the VP of A&R Atlantic Records, when he once talked about Pimp C's views regarding Jay-Z after a disagreement on a music video.
I only gave him 12 bars. I ain't gave him 16, man.
Not to forget the elephant in the room, aka that video. The private video of his wife and Pimp C could land his whole career in hot waters alongside his wife's. He worked too hard for that. So Jay-Z is the only person who qualifies as Pimp C's murderer, according to the criterion: competition, his career that would have been at risk for as long as Pimp lived with that video, and already existing differences on the professional forums. Whether this mystery was an overdose, a sacrificial murder involving cults, or a hit implanted by Jay-Z, it sure hasn't stopped circulating on social media and is sure to keep our minds occupied for a while. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.